You're listening to Podcast PXN,
a video game podcast
delivering player experience news.
Let's go!
This just in. This episode is out right now. We're shadow dropping. Welcome to Podcast PXN, episode 178. I am one of your hosts. The perennial dating app swiper from Portland, Oregon, Christian Macias. And I'm joined over Discord by Kentucky's #1 Spartan and PXN founder, Daniel Prindle, aka Dan is DTM.
Hello, we're live.
Tell me. Never mind. I almost said. Okay, yeah, we're live. I'm and the president of the Tifa Lockhart fan club. He is a Nintendo aficionado and artist extraordinaire at Roro.
Hello.
And one half of the Men and Gitch podcast, not on camera today, Battlefield's bad boy, the Tarkov Teletubby himself, my lover, Gage Dempster.
Oh man, I want to cuddle you, dude.
Oh man. Folks, first of all, I'm sorry. Secondly, thank you to everyone watching us live and participating in the chat. Just as a reminder, we are live each and every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern on YouTube. Just search Podcast PXN. You can also find us on twitch.tv/Podcast PXN. Some housekeeping today for you. First of all, happy belated birthday to Daniel Prindle, who just turned 31 or 21
years old.
Yeah. Too many years.
62, man. You're getting up there.
Gage.
What? I'm just saying.
You
close
watch
to
it.
retirement, huh?
I
well,
wish.
isn't it 65 that you start getting seniors discounts and stuff like that?
Sure.
I mean, those pennies will add up.
Penny? Are you a penny pincher, Daniel?
Am I a penny pincher? I like to save my money. Is that a penny? I guess so.
Okay, I can't believe this is supposed to be a nice segment where we're like, "Hey, man, happy birthday!" Like,
Yeah.
No,
I'm
I
glad you
derailed that.
exist.
I
And
derailed
Gage was
that.
like,
I
"Hey, you're old
derailed
as fuck."
I know.
Anyway, I hope you had a good one, buddy.
Thank you.
Let's have a cocktail soon.
Yes.
Secondly, Ro, our king, uploaded a video to his personal channel titled, I had this up and then I accidentally closed it up. I think it was I am scared of, Ro, please tell me your title.
It's called AI Art Scares Me.
Yep.
Yes. And it's about how AI art scares me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Not a long video,
Yeah,
and
quick
yet
watch.
still very, very dense. So if you're interested in AI and art, and AI art, watch that at Ro.
If anyone was looking to watch another certified banger, you can go check that out.
Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah.
Mhm.
Thank you.
I'd certainly bang that video.
Hell yeah. This is the Daniel that I love.
Yeah. It's like you're me, and the video is my iPad. And also, the topic of the show this week is
Oh, no.
which video games need a remaster. We're gonna have some fun today. I called an audible and I said, you know what, screw it. We're gonna have a little joyous little time on the show today. So inshallah, we have a good time. However, the show always starts with the PXN news of the week, so let's go ahead and jump right in. Oh yeah, quick bites. Let's snack a little bit. I don't know why I did that. Let's snack because Gage is here. I think probably.
Don't blame me. I'm not even on camera. I'm not even giving you sexy eyes.
That's true.
Well, maybe I am.
I mean, I guess in that little picture you have there. Anyway, quick bites. Smaller news items here for you to digest very rapidly. Nacon will show Lord of the Rings Gollum and RoboCop along with other games in a new presentation next month. The Nacon Direct presentation will take place on March 9th at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, and will, quote, share lots of information about forthcoming games. Will you be tuning in? I don't think I will.
No. I will not.
Yeah.
I am so interested for the Golem thing to release though, just to see how that is. what that is.
What if they release Smeagol DLC?
Oh god.
You know what I mean?
Oh, no.
I mean, yeah. I mean, that could only help, I guess.
Maybe.
Anyway, moving on to some exciting news for me, sort of. Yoko Taro, The King Returns. His new game has been revealed. 404 Game Reset reimagines Sega games as women and has players battling Sega to restore a world it has corrupted. And the only downside here is that it is a mobile game, which I'm not a huge mobile game gamer myself. But everything else, up my alley.
Oh yeah, I saw this and I don't know, I was surprised at first, and then I remembered it was a Yoko Taro game, and then I was like, okay, that makes sense. That guy's wild. I'm excited to see the inevitable Sonic girl though, the Sonic waifu, because they're all they're all Sonic or not Sonic, all Sega franchises that are being turned into anime girls. So
Yeah.
I'm worried and excited to see what Sonic looks like in anime girl form.
I'm worried about how excited I'm getting, if anything.
But yeah, we shouldn't be having these reactions.
I like how in the blog post, Yoko Taro was like, yeah, I don't think Sega's gonna like this because they're kind of like really the uber bad guy in this game. Well.
And it was weird because he said, I don't think Sega would want to be the good guy either. I remember hearing. It was like the only way that it would work if Sega was a bad guy, and I think Sega would prefer it that way. And I was like, why would Sega prefer it that way? But I don't know. Yoko Taro knows what he's doing, I guess.
I almost said something about Yoko Taro, but you know what? Nah, it's fine. It'll just live in my likes on Twitter. Anyway, the Super Mario Bros. Movie gets a commercial using the 1989 cartoon theme song. Dan is shaking his head yes.
I thought it was cool. I liked it. It was a little bit,
Because you were like a teenager in 1989?
I wasn't even born in 1989, Christian. Get out of here.
Zing zap zooey.
Get out of here. No, I thought it was really cool. A little throwback there.
Yeah. Animation's really nice, and I'm sure you guys know, but if you call the number, like Luigi does pick up, but not talking, it's like a message saying to call back later.
That's fantastic.
What? That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And the website works too.
The website
really
too.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Some Metroid news here. Some depressing Metroid news. The only depressing Metroid news we've gotten. The original Metroid Prime developers were omitted from the credits in the remaster. Rather than listing everyone who worked on the original game, the remastered credits simply include a screen that says, based on the work of Metroid Prime original Nintendo GameCube and Wii version development staff. Shame for all the people who worked so hard to make one of the best games ever made, just resorted to just like, shout out to the staff, eh? Demons.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it's just so easy to just include their names. Just copy and paste it. I mean, maybe it's not that easy, but I feel like it's easy enough to not do this.
In the grand scheme of video game development, it's pretty easy.
Yeah.
It's so disappointing too, because like, and I always bring it back to fucking Halo. I feel bad for this, but it's the same thing with the Master Chief Collection, where Bungie obviously made all of those games, and I'm 99.9% sure at the end it just says thanks to Bungie for creating this or whatever. Whereas like each of those games, like Halo CE 2, 3. Oh, they always had really cool end credits. Credits where it shows everyone's names. Like especially Halo 2's comes to an example where it just has cool like pop-in animations and it looks great. So yeah, stuff like this sucks when they don't include the original people on it.
Nintendo does a lot of weird stuff. Chief among these is something like this. Moving on. We have a not safe for work article, so if
hell yeah. Grandma Warner, tune it now.
If you need to mute for a minute or two, go ahead and mute now because you have been warned. Warned.
Well, not yet.
You will be warned.
This article. Yeah, you will be warned with the creator of a Witcher 3 vagina mod claims that CD Projekt used it without permission in next-gen release. Here in this article, I have 3 little blurbs here for you. Prior to its release, CD Projekt confirmed that the update included various community-made and community-inspired mods to improve visuals and overall game quality. It recently emerged that one such mod introduced styled pubic hair and visible labia, hell yes, to some of the female NPCs in the game. Let's just stop there for a quick second. That's a massive dub. You know what I mean? People need to stop being so prudish.
Call me the Lawrence of Labia because I'm really excited about that.
Nice. Well, no, I shouldn't say this. Moving on. In a statement to Kotaku, CD Projekt said the mods addition was unintended and suggested it would be removed in an upcoming patch. Quote, the next-gen version of The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt features several community-sourced mods not created by CD Projekt Red, on top of numerous enhancements created and implemented by the studio internally, a spokesperson said. Merging everything together was a complex process, and the textures in question are an unintended result present in the release version. This is something we're working to address. This is wild, actually, that they even used several mods in like their next-gen version of the game. I don't think I've ever heard of a case where something like this has happened. Kind of interesting.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, I just can't believe the vagina one was one that also slipped in there. But
I gotta play this game again, dude.
Yeah.
So, who's the person that's like, whoops, I forgot that I didn't take that out? Like,
I don't know.
I thought you were gonna keep going.
oh no, sorry.
I thought your bit
This
was
is a
longer.
video game podcast. You should realize that we don't have anything to say about female anatomy. You should have known that going into this
That's
conversation.
that is a really good joke.
A really good point. Yeah,
Yeah, nice, dude. Nice. You can't fight me back, but
I did.
anyway.
I did though.
Nice. Here is a news item for us Power Wash Simulator perverts, aka me. Power Wash Simulator and Final Fantasy VII Midgar Special Pack gets its release date, and it's coming March 2nd. It was only a materia of time.
Nice.
I didn't. No, that's not my words.
I'm looking
I took
at the
that from the
post now.
Power Wash
Yeah.
Simulator Twitter. Yeah.
Good job, Power Wash.
I will not plagiarize.
Yeah,
Did the Lara Croft mansion ever come out? That was announced as well.
I
sure.
don't know. I don't know my Power Wash Simulator lore right now.
Why not?
Me either. But these collabs are doing are pretty wild already, and we're only 2 in so far. I would love to see more of these. Just wild stuff. Like a vagina mod in Power Wash Simulator.
Wow.
What would you even do with that?
Wash that out.
Oh, God.
Our final quick bite here. PlayStation Plus Extra and Premium get some pretty big additions to its catalog. I'm going to just list off some of the bigger ones here. Full list available on the blog. Here we go. The Quarry. I will finally play this. Resident Evil 7. Sure. Lost Sphere. Ayo. I Am Setsuna. Forgotten City. Play that. And the biggest probably of these is Horizon Forbidden West coming a year after released. We'll stop there for a second. And I'm realizing that the DLC comes just a few months after. And then there's a PSVR game with Horizon. And then the TV show at some point following. And last year, it released with Elden Ring alongside of it. So Sony is trying to get people back into the Horizon world. What better way than by people who already have PlayStation Plus Extra lobbing it in there?
Yeah.
You know what they're doing. Getting that train rolling again.
I think a smart guy on this podcast said, why doesn't Sony do this a year after launch? Put these
Somebody
first
definitely said
parties
that.
in
I
there.
don't know if it was.
Well,
It was
if
probably
you
Gage
knew
who
it was
said
coming,
I think it was me, bro. I think you're right. I think it was me who said that.
Get
if
outta
you knew
here.
these games were coming a year later, would you ever buy the game?
Absolutely. I wouldn't wait a year.
I mean, yeah, for story, because like for a lot of the story single player, you don't want to be out of the loop for sure.
Yeah. Spoilers. Yeah, no. I would not want to be out of the conversation of God
Okay.
of War Ragnarok for a year. Heck no.
Did you beat Horizon, Dan?
No, but that okay. I wouldn't say I would buy every first party Sony game at launch, but like, God of War Ragnarok, there's no way I would have waited.
Christian
a year
thinks
to
he's
play
Matt
that.
Murdock right now. He thinks he's Your Honor.
I want to see more smaller games. Like they launched Stray on the platform once, and I was like, yes, it's dub. I want to see more smaller games like this come. Season, I thought would have been a perfect. What's that?
Did you play Stray?
Yeah, I played it and beat it.
Oh, did you? Was it good?
I enjoyed it.
That's exciting.
I enjoyed it. I mean, as a game itself, it was okay, but for like pulling, I'm not gonna get into this right now.
Okay.
And then some classics were also included in this drop. This is huge. Legend of Dragoon. That's insane. Talk about an RPG, like a mega RPG. Legend of Dragoon. Wild Arms 2, huge. Harvest Moon, huge. Destroy All Humans, maybe not as huge, but still. There you have it.
Cult classic. Apparently, people love that game.
Yes, yeah. I played it. I was never like, hankering for more of it, but
No.
Mhm.
The people that like it
then-
love it.
sure. And then for you PC fiends, Returnal launches today on PC. So if you have not played Returnal, I would suggest you do so. It's a very good game.
You can return to Returnal.
Only
And
if
I
you
did
played
for
it
that
on...
DLC, the co-op DLC. Sorry I cut you off. You were gonna, you were.
I was
good
gonna
joke,
dunk
Gage.
on Dan, but I've done that too much. Dan, I love you, and I
Mhm.
appreciate you as a human being. I need to be stated for the record.
It's too easy to dunk on Dan.
Not true. You're a tall guy.
That's
Why are
true.
there so
Anyway,
many
You
puns
do have
in
you
this
do have a
episode?
significantly longer wingspan than I do.
Mm.
You know what else is long?
Uh-oh.
Anyway, no street meet today. No rumors. Absolutely zero rumors. At least not that I saw. There could have been, but I failed you. Instead, we're gonna mob on over into the PXN news of the week. We have 3 bigger items here for you, starting with some Nintendo news, specifically Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. 2 news items for you. Nintendo says, 1, that Tears of the Kingdom's $70 price point is not the trend going forward. Say what? A spokesperson replied, quote, we determine the suggested retail price for any Nintendo product on a case-by-case basis. So it's not to say it'll be the only $70 game. What if the next Mario game is also a big game? Maybe they price it at 70 as well.
How do they gauge that? Is it quality? Is it
I don't know, man. They won't even put developers in the credits, so who knows?
Oh god. Yeah, they upped the price to add the to cover the development costs for putting
Yeah.
extra names in there.
Nice.
you want me? You want to get credited for your work? This is what it costs.
But yeah, I'm hoping it is quality and that like specific titles. I mean, I'm hoping that it just doesn't happen as often as this article suggests. I'm glad that it's not the trend as they're saying, but I could absolutely see the next Mario game costing that much, or like Metroid Prime 4 or something like that. Costing
And I
that
would
much.
I would pay that much for Metroid Prime 4.
Yeah.
I'd pay 80.
And unfortunately, Nintendo seems to know that. That's why they're pricing Tears of the Kingdom at that
Oh
much.
my
But
god!
Yeah.
In
Or even-
Canada, so it's like $100
Yeah.
for them for Zelda, yeah.
even more expensive now, yeah.
Dang.
And it's already like near that price before the price increase. Like it's I think it's
Like $93 after tax
yeah. So now it's
for
definitely going to be over.
$79.99. And now that with the $10 bump, that means $89.99 before tax, and then you're looking at well over $100.
Yep.
Oof.
Yep.
That's pretty steep for games, man. It's an expensive hobby, isn't it?
Yep. It's hurting out here.
Mm.
What I'm still trying to figure out is what $60 Nintendo game would they not price at $70? Like they almost say this like, we're going to have some of our $60 games that we used to release traditionally at $60 not be at $70. So like what would that
I could.
Oh,
sorry,
okay, bro, you first.
I was going to say games, probably like the sports games. I would assume,
Oh, that's fair.
or like Pikmin,
Yeah.
even that's coming out. I feel like that's not like a game they might price at that point. Like there's a couple of Nintendo franchises that I don't think they see at that level, even though I'm sure they love them, but I don't think
Right.
they expect us to pay that price for it
Yeah.
just yet. Maybe next Switch they hike it up, but for what we're paying, what we're playing on right now, it's kind of a hard pill to swallow, I think.
Yeah, there are prestige experiences on Nintendo, and I'd call those like Breath of the Wild, Mario Odyssey, the forthcoming Metroid Prime 4. But then there are games like, Mario, whatever, that terrible comeback that they tried to do with Mario Strikers that was nowhere near as good as the original. And like that, if they price that at $70, that'd be terrible in my opinion. Some more Tears of the Kingdom news real quick. The file size for it makes it the largest Switch game to date. And I was like, whoa, how big is it going to be? And I forget that Switch games are a lot smaller. So it's 18.2 gigabytes. And then for comparison, I looked it up. Breath of the Wild was 14.4 gigs. So this game is 4 gigabytes bigger. Everyone.
Huh.
Be prepared. Get those micro SD cards ready.
Heck yeah.
got all those vertical parts of the same map, I guess, with how we're going into the sky. So I'm sure that definitely added a little extra stuff onto it too. So excited.
It's also got to be the gameplay mechanics of like building stuff.
Right, that's true.
To interact. So, are you ready for some shitty news? And the credits.
And the credits.
Wait,
It's actually
listeners.
3 gigs.
Listeners at home should guess at what this news is about, because I mean it's pretty easy to guess.
Every time.
It's
Are you done guessing?
Is it Activision?
Yeah.
Good job, Timmy.
Yay!
Yeah. And you got an ABK update for you. Bobby Kotick will absolutely remain, quote unquote, Activision CEO if Microsoft deal fails.
Of course.
Despite reports suggesting that Kotick is expected to leave Activision Blizzard once the deal is done, the company claimed in a report to shareholders in April 2022 that Kotick hadn't discussed his plans before the acquisition announcement and still hadn't up to that point. Quote, no discussions or negotiations regarding post-closing employment arrangements with Microsoft occurred between Microsoft and Mr. Kotick prior to the approval and the execution of the merger agreement and the transactions contemplated thereby. I'm getting bored just reading this. Or have occurred subsequent to such approval and execution through the date hereof. Nice one, dude, the report claimed. Should Kotick be terminated following Microsoft's acquisition, Kotick could be in line to receive hundreds of $millions because he deserves that. Sarcasm. Last bit. Kotick had come under fire following a November 2021 report by the Wall Street Journal, which alleged that he was aware of multiple sexual misconduct allegations at ABK and was enabling a toxic workplace culture at the company, which of course we pretty much know to be true. This guy freaking sucks, and he should totally not stay. He should face jail time.
Some against himself too, right? There was allegations against him as well.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever.
He threatened to have one of his secretaries murdered.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which, by the way, again, somebody ended up committing suicide because of like these sexual misconducts at the workplace, which he knew of. Which, in my opinion, puts him like, if not directly, like at least indirectly responsible for such a death. And again,
it just goes to show you how toxic this workplace is, because you'd think something like that would be a brutal wake-up call for a lot of those guys that are doing this. But the incident where this woman who had committed suicide, the incident where her pictures were being passed around happened after she committed suicide at that Christmas
that's
party.
insane.
Yes, that happened after. I don't know if we mentioned that at the time, but like because there's just so much to go over. But that happened after that. So these people are like, this is just one of the most toxic workplaces ever, and obviously he knows about it. I think this is one of those situations where he's seeing the numbers, he's seeing the results, because I mean we all see the numbers, and he doesn't care.
Well, of course not when Call of Duty still sells and makes millions or whatever.
Exactly.
Shame, dude.
Shame.
Like, yeah, obviously, like this is a lot of legal mumbo jumbo in terms of what's happening to him after the merger completes, if it does complete. But like, I hope to God that Microsoft would have some sense to say, no, you've got to go, regardless of. I know there's that stipulation in his contract or whatever that he'll basically get a golden parachute to fucking take millions of dollars, and be fired. But like at the end of the day, he's got to go.
Yeah. I think, I mean, as much like operating on zero information and 100% conjecture, I feel like it's a pretty safe bet that for optics, Microsoft would want to get rid of him if the deal goes through. And I also think it's also obvious he's not going to want to leave if the deal doesn't go through.
Yeah.
So
either way, he's gonna stay. He's gonna make money.
He's gonna make money, but that ship sailed.
Yeah.
That ship has sailed. The man's already worth hundreds of millions of dollars, and even if he left with nothing, he still doesn't have to lift his finger for the rest of his life, which is unfortunate. But
I love inequity. Anyway,
right.
Last news item here. Microsoft admits in an IGN article. In a GamesIndustry.biz article that was then I'm pulling from IGN. That Game Pass, quote unquote, cannibalizes sales. Of course, Ryan McCaffrey also tweeted this saying, "We knew this. It's a reason why we don't see Xbox games in NPD anymore. However, let's read you some actual points here from the article. As reported by GI Biz, the confirmation was included as part of the UK Competition and Markets Authority's provisional report on Microsoft's proposed $69 billion merger with Activision Blizzard. Embedded within the 277-page document was a short paragraph revealing that Microsoft had submitted an internal analysis to the government body that showed a redacted % decline in base game sales 12 months following their addition on Game Pass. Again, this is just what we talked about earlier, Dan. I don't know. Sorry, I don't know why I'm calling you out for something we said minutes ago. The admission clashes with remarks made by Xbox boss Phil Spencer back in 2018 when he claimed that adding titles to the service actually boosted sales. In a statement sent to IGN, an Xbox spokesperson responded, Xbox Game Pass offers gamers and game creators more choice and opportunity in how they discover, experience, and deliver games. For gamers, that means providing another option for them to discover games and play with friends at a great value. No disagreement there. For the developers, that means creating another option for how they monetize their games. Absolutely. We're focused on helping game creators of all sizes maximize the total financial value they receive through Game Pass. Each game is unique, so we work closely with creators to build a custom program to reflect what they need, ensure they are compensated financially for their participation in the service, and allow room for creativity and innovation. As a result, the number of developers interested in working with Game Pass continues to grow. Absolutely. Lots there.
I'll just jump in. I think the key there as well is like, you know, obviously developers continue to want to work with Microsoft and go into Game Pass. So obviously Microsoft must be giving some pretty good checks for being a Game Pass game. And you, I guess as a developer, you kind of have to weigh that and say, well, you know, we've released with Game Pass with them in the past, like we lost maybe this amount of sales, but we also gained this huge upfront sum that Microsoft is just giving us, maybe to even boost their next project and help fund that. So it is interesting. And as you were saying, as we were talking about a little bit ago as well, it does indicate that there's a decline in terms of game sales, but I think it's also important to note that Microsoft's strategy is very different than what Sony's doing. They want people to go into the services aspect as opposed to buying games outright. They want that consistent stream of Game Pass sales and subscriptions, I guess is the better word. So yeah, who knows if this will be profitable I guess it's profitable, that's what they said, but if it will be continuously successful, you know, over the next 5, 10, 15 years, I don't know.
Is it profitable though? Because I don't think we have numbers on that. I think they haven't released numbers on profits in like 2 years or something like that.
That's true. Yeah, it's been a while. I know at one point they said it was profitable, but I'm not sure when that was.
Yeah, but it still is now.
Yeah.
I'm
just curious, like we say, is it profitable? And we don't know. I just like what can they do now? Like, can they like stop doing Game Pass? The only thing they can do is like raise the price, I guess, right? To make it more profitable for them. But what I was thinking of in my head is like, come PS6 time, what's Xbox going to be doing? Are they still going to be doing Game Pass, or are they going to be trying to do what Sony's kind of doing now, or is Sony going to be doing a Game Pass model? It's interesting to see like us talking about, is it profitable? And just me thinking about the future, I can't imagine Game Pass going away, whether it's profitable or not. It's just what Xbox is now, and I feel like they're just going to invest into that more and more until it's just like Xbox again. Like Xbox is everywhere. What Phil wants, it's just on everything. It's interesting to think about from that perspective for me.
My question is always goes back to sustainability, and we won't know that for like probably years. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I'm also not even like someone who's that dialed in that could have something like very intelligent to say about it. If I'm being honest, I'll just admit it now. But like, I can't help but compare it to like other streaming services, because this is probably the closest analogy I have with Game Pass to something that's, you know, like a Netflix subscription. Like when prices go up, you know, or they change parts of it, people usually aren't happy because things are expensive, right? Like the inevitable Game Pass price hike we've been predicting for a while. I know Dan has said like it's not going to happen soon, and he's been right so far, which is insane and which is great for us because it is a great value. But the thing for me is like Microsoft does have money to burn. They do partnerships, incredible partnerships all the time. Case in point, like they just bought like Tango and stuff. And who's their parent company? ZeniMax.
Bethesda. Yeah, ZeniMax.
Bethesda. Yeah. And Hi-Fi Rush is like a Game of the Year contender, critically lauded. Right? Was that a product of like Game Pass? Not necessarily, right? Like the things that I have to look to are like games made in the echo chamber of like long-term Game Pass Xbox studios, and those are still a big question mark for me. Their partnerships and stuff, like no doubt, it's fantastic, and I love my Game Pass for it. But in terms of like first party, I still like, what is this going to look like made in tandem with like Game Pass, right? When like, I guess it's an othering. Like the only way I've known the game industry is like, you make a game, that's the investment, and you hope that it sells. And when that game does big numbers, you're able to then use that profit to then put that back into your studios and continue that cycle, right? So as in Game Pass though, like is the money there enough to sustain that for first parties? That's still a big I don't know for me.
The other thing I thought about as well that I just thought of, they have really great like DLC packs that they put out. So for instance, Forza Horizon 5 was out in Game Pass, but they also had like I think a $30 or $35 pack that you could buy that would give you all the expansions and new cars and all of that. So like that kind of stuff obviously isn't tracked by these sales as well. I would be curious as to like, that kind of attach rate to people who are on Game Pass.
Okay. I thought somebody else was going to jump in. All this to say.
Yeah.
Bro.
No, I don't really have anything more to add, honestly. I just think it's interesting to, like what you're saying about the first party games. I don't know. I'm just curious about the future of what this could look like is kind of where I'm at.
Would you guys consider this like an experiment almost?
This is all an experiment.
It's true. All simulation.
It's the
very
Matrix.
Successful one. It is.
It is a very successful one. I mean, is it though? Again, we don't know.
Again, yeah, we
numbers.
don't know.
We don't know profit numbers. Yeah. But in terms of like maybe attach rate or like getting people to try cool new games, absolutely, absolutely freaking fantastic.
In the short term, we're eating, but in the long term, who knows?
As long as we're fed in the short term, I can't complain, Dan.
That's fair.
Fantasy draft check-in. Last week, we actually forgot to talk about some pickups that others have picked up. And then I think Ro picked up some games as well. So let's go through the games that we have picked up since our actual draft, a month ago now. And then see what games are upcoming. So, Dan, after your initial 5, you picked up a couple of games. I forget if we mentioned these. 5. You picked up Horizon Forbidden West Burning Shores, the DLC. You also grabbed Octopath Traveler 2, Alan Wake 2, Stalker 2, and Assassin's Creed Mirage. Mirage is the only game I don't think will hit this year, if I'm being honest. But
I could see that getting pushed out as well.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see. You're talking to the champ here. I'm just kidding.
I hate that you're able to say that, and it's like
Yeah,
in
that's
every
true.
like it's accurate. Like that's the part that makes me upset.
And then Ro picked up, I think, one game, which was Atomic Heart.
Yeah,
That we think we mentioned last week. I think we did mention that last week.
and then tell him how he's going against me and how he's crossing me.
I counterpicked Redfall.
Yeah,
Yeah, great. Good
that's
counter.
okay. I mean, it was fine. Roshan was like, you know what? I haven't been suplexed in a while. I haven't gotten my bells rung. Let's go up against Gage. And you know what? Like, I get it.
I'm gonna lose maybe 2 points.
Nice.
That's our prediction.
That's fair. That's completely fair.
Ro got the news last week that you have to be always online to play this game. He's like, oh hell no, I'm counterpicking this ASAP.
That was honestly based.
I was feeling very much like that, Ro, and then like I was considering counterpicking it as well, and then I looked at all of Arcane's previous games, and I'm like, surely this game can't fucking be that bad because like all of their previous games have been very
I was
good.
gonna say hit, man.
Yeah. So
Do they? Are they
Especially
usually good?
critically, yeah.
yeah.
Oh god. What
Except for
about
Prey?
Prey even did decent, right? I thought it even did, like, I know there was the whole IGN thing, but I thought it still did. Yeah, it's 82% still.
what about
This is the first co-op game, though, I think. So
Deathloop?
Yeah.
no, Deathloop did great among
What
critics.
the hell? Deathloop got 10 out of 10 from IGN.
Yeah, not
What?
with me.
Yeah.
Not with ISO Christian. So
I
And
did
then
not know
Dishonored
that.
and Dishonored 2 both got, I think, 80s, low 80s, high 80s.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe I'll lose 4 points.
double it and give it to the
Start
next person.
sweating. Start sweating. Double it.
And I haven't picked up anything. I've been busy, but Gage picked up 4 items. Hogwarts Legacy, which netted him 14 points. I think we mentioned this last week as well. Minecraft Legends. It's probably a pretty huge pick, this Legends game. The Phantom Liberty DLC for Cyberpunk 2077, and another indie darling, Replaced.
Yeah.
Whatever. We got like 10 months left.
If I don't come in fourth, I win, by the way. You'll never hear the end of it. That's all I'm playing for. With my half of the league, if I manage to get into third with half of my slots empty, you will never hear the end of it.
Gage,
I will consider that, and I will see this as an absolute win.
If you get third place, I'm gonna just give you like $100 or something because there's
Bro,
no
$100
way.
American?
Hey, there's no way.
$100 American though?
Gage, should I lose it on purpose?
No,
For
no,
you?
don't lose it
No,
on
absolutely
purpose.
not. There's no honor in that. Dan, if you give me $100 American, I mean, I can retire right now.
I'm going Bobby Kotick mode.
That's a golden parachute if I've ever heard one.
$100.
$100 American dollars? Hell yeah, brother.
There's a flag on the field. We're taking a timeout for Tilu. Tilu timeout. Episode 5.
Oh
Premiered
man.
last Friday, titled Endure and Survive. And we endured and we survived, indeed.
Most of us did.
Can I jump in here
Nice.
because I've missed two discussions. I missed talking about episode 3. You know how hard that was to listen to you guys talk about that and wanting to like come in and gush about it as well. I will say I think episode 5 is probably the best episode of The Last of Us so far. And when I say that, I mean like in best representing what The Last of Us is. I adored episode 3. I would have been here to gush about it all the same, but I think episode 5, just with that element of suspense and horror and still having that emotional gut punch, I was incredibly blown away. And even though I would have given episode 3 a 10 out of 10, this is probably my second 10 out of 10. I don't have any complaints with this episode whatsoever. I think it's laying really good like groundwork for the themes of like the second game and the second story. And
I hate
see
that.
No. I like that. That's good.
That's not a good thing. That's not
That
a
is
good thing.
That's a great thing.
No, I think. Oh, Gage.
But here's the thing, though, because what's happening in the game, again, we don't get. What's happening in the show, we don't get specifics in the game. But again, they're just expanding on the groundwork that was already there. These people were already after Henry and Sam relentlessly in the game. We don't get a clear picture as to why. But like when I see this, I'm like, okay, this very well could have been why. Absolutely. I don't know. I was thoroughly impressed with this, and shout out to the bloater. That was absolutely fucking awesome. That was great. Again, seeing the small things and the attention to detail, like the everybody's pointing out like the death animation that happens to Perry in the background is absolutely fucking.
That was good.
Man, what a treat. What an absolute treat. Also, shout out to Jeffrey Pierce. He killed it. He had very small scenes and very small screen time, but like, I don't know. I really enjoyed his restrained kind of performance that he gave. And of course, Melanie Linsky, the GOAT, continues to fucking crush it in everything she does.
She was good.
And then she got chimped on by a 7-year-old clicker, which is amazing.
That was great.
That episode was great. That whole scene. I think it's perfect. Let somebody else jump in. I have no complaints with that episode whatsoever.
I think Ro is starting to say something as well.
Yeah, I thought it was great as well. I had a great time with that episode. It was very sad near the end. I loved the performances from everyone, and I think I keep saying it every week where it's like we're comparing two really good things. So we're just getting additive stuff to an already great story, like Gage was saying with the Henry and Sam running from the Fedra stuff. Like that's just added on story that makes their tale a little bit more engaging for me, and I agree. But the performance that Bella gave when Sam turned, I thought was just better than Ashley Johnson's reaction in the video game. I just felt more raw and real to what was going on, and her like little, the tears rolling down her face when Henry had to shoot Sam just felt more real to what was going on, as opposed to like in the video game. I guess you don't really see her reaction that much, but she's just like, oh my god. And I guess you could have those reactions, and that could be a very real reaction to that kind of situation. Just depends on who you are. But just something about how this scene played out, I just felt more in it than I did in the game.
I agree wholeheartedly. I just want to jump in. It seemed like her reaction in the show seemed like a person in shock. You know what I mean? Yeah. Whereas like in the game, it was like acting sad and it worked, but this felt like she was literally like short circuiting and was like, oh my god, what's happening? So I caught that too, and I agree with you wholeheartedly. That was, Bella fucking killed it in that scene. Sorry, go ahead.
And I just wanted to also shout out the bonding moments that that Sam and Ellie had leading up to everything, made that hit so much more as well. And they had those moments in the game, and arguably we probably spent more time with them in the game. We definitely did, but there were more bonding moments in the game as well. But I don't know, there's just something about them like nerding out about the comics in this, and Ellie reading to him and like passing the notes back and forth, that just like really sold that connection, and them being able to be kids for a couple nights, just it really tugged at my heartstrings. It was really good.
For me, the best Henry and Sam bits were nowhere near when Joel and Ellie were around. For me, the best part was actually in the beginning when they're in the house, and Henry is having to prove to Sam that like he's not scared, because he can't show that or else Sam will know. And he like drops like crayons or whatever, and it's like, this place is ugly. And they start like coloring the walls. And you get like that shot of like the window, like with the sun coming in, it's a bit warmer. And like for me, I was like, yeah, this is The Last of Us. Like these small moments of warmth before like it all inevitably goes to shit. Like just this moment of love. And that got to me more. That actually got me like a little bit tear-eyed, way more than the ending. Because I also knew like the ending was coming, right? Mm-hmm. The only thing I want to like counter Gage is that the show leaning into the themes of The Last of Us 2, I'm not sold on. I think because I have the game in mind. The thing for me is like TLU 2's themes work so well because they're in direct contrast to TLU 1. Not to say that like darkness isn't present in The Last of Us 1 per se. Like that's obviously not true. But I think it's only as efficient and as strong when you have such like a strong base to counteract that. And then setting all this up in numerous episodes before this too, with like Ellie being like a lot colder, feels like almost a bit wrong to me. Like again, TLU 2 is only as strong because like she has like that moment where she just changes and just shifts completely. That's my only critique.
I wouldn't want them to make that that's the thing. Like, for me, it was like, okay, as of right now, they've only really, aside from the character changes of Ellie, which I don't even know if necessarily. I agree with you. Like, they really need to start getting progressing her survivor's guild, which looks like we're probably going to see that now with the end of this most previous episode. I think that, and also they're doing something clever where it seems like the characters keep hanging on to items from people that they've come across, like. Somebody's pointed out that now Joel is wearing Frank's shirt and has Henry's backpack. So I'm guessing they are going to play to that towards the end of the game to get that payoff of like some sort of recap of that final conversation and what they might say to each other. But no, I mean, again, it's kind of like how the entire season isn't about Bill and Frank. I think to me, I just read it as laying the groundwork and getting the audience used to the idea that people can. Sometimes it doesn't matter whether or not something is logical. You're just driven by emotion, right? Which is the main.
Know that. We know that with Joel.
Yes and no, though, because Joel's been very.
That's the climax of the game. Is like.
But Joel's not on a vengeance trip right now. He's doing some. He is working on. And even then, you could argue that no, I would disagree with that, because you could argue the logical side would be, oh, get this girl if you care about getting a vaccine. Now, obviously, we know Joel doesn't care about that himself, but I would say that you've just secured the city, you've just won a revolution. Now is the time to start focusing on getting your sort of camp in order, and she's still concerned with hunting down this one person. I would say that's a much better representation of that sort of mindless vengeance that the season 2 is about. So I would say that if I don't know, I liked them laying the groundwork for that. I could see how maybe that might take away from it, but if it's just this episode that they kind of get into that and then everything else gets back to normal, I think that I honestly prefer getting the audience used to that, because as we all know with the game, that some people were like,
"Fuck the audience."
Yeah, but
yo, who cares?
I don't know. I thought it was good. Dan, what'd you think?
I think I agree with a lot of what everyone said, actually. I think you guys all had good points. I do want to shout out like the dude who played the bloater. That freaking suit, I think they said is like 80 pounds or something.
Yeah,
it's huge, right?
Oh,
yeah,
that's insane. That suit is incredible, and like that's the kind of stuff that I wish the Halo series did with like the elites, for instance, because the CGI on the elites is not very convincing, whereas the bloater is physical. You know, it's actual things you can touch. Like it's so detailed, it looks really good on screen. So I really loved that. And that whole scene of all of the freaking, infected coming out of that hole, that was just absolutely incredible. An incredibly
so
tense
many.
moment. Yes, that was awesome. But yeah, I agree with you guys as well. I think Sam and Henry were fantastic. And like, in some ways, I almost felt like the show did a better job of like expanding on those two more than the game did. And they did it in a shorter amount of time. And like that's again one of my, I guess you could call it criticisms of the show, is that I feel like we should get more of that, because like I love those moments so much. Like those characters are great. Let's see more of them. Like it does still feel a little bit rushed to me, where we're having these events happen super quickly. The only episode in my eyes that didn't feel rushed was episode 3, which,
right.
I mean, they did a great job of pacing that episode. And yeah, 9 episodes it doesn't seem like it's going to be enough for this.
Dog. Sam choosing to go to sleep facing the other way because he's deaf and he knew he wouldn't hear Ellie when he woke or turned is heartbreaking.
You know what? Yeah. You know what's even more heartbreaking is somebody pointed out that he would have just sat there staring at the sun forever.
Yeah.
That is the part that kills me. Also, you know what? Actually, I do want to bring something up. I think there was a missed opportunity with this show with how grounded it is. It's something that they didn't bring over from the game, which is actually, I'm surprised, because I wish they would have leaned more into the fact that in the game it makes it very clear that you are trapped inside of your infected sort of form.
Yes.
Because if you hang around long enough around infected, you can hear them muttering words. You can hear them say like please, and they start scratching at themselves. I would have really loved for that, because that comes up in the game. Sam does write it on his pad, and like, yeah, it does get some screen time, but in the game, I don't know, maybe it was just a performance or the fact it just seemed like it was given some time to like gestate, where it's like, oh, I really don't like, do you think these people are still people and all that stuff? I don't know. I think that's kind of a missed opportunity. That would have made that scene even more heartbreaking, especially if we've seen clips of like infected walking the streets, maybe, and just you kind of, if they lean into that a bit more.
I agree.
And I will say, actually, small criticism. This is a famous Gage, Larry David nitpick. They're gonna have to start cleaning this up a little bit. I don't want them to Walking Dead this, because when Ellie climbed into that car, there is no reason that a clicker who hunts by sound would have chose to get into the car when there is all this chaos and pandemonium happening outside. As soon as they started doing this stuff where it's like, oh, let's have somebody chase the main antagonist, I'm like, okay, but why? Justify it in the lore. because this little 7-year-old creature had to climb into that van when realistically she would have been running around like everybody else, listening to all the gunshots going off. So I'm just saying. And again, when she snuck up on Kathleen, there's no reason for her to be there. She should have been running towards the gunshots and the screaming behind her. So I just listen, Craig. I know you listen to this, Craig Mason. I know you listen to Podcast PXN.
Can you imagine?
I'm gonna let this one slide, but you need to clean it up. Okay? The clickers are awesome. Everyone thinks they're cool. Episode 2 is great. Don't start playing fast and loose with the rules. All right, Craig? Got it? Good.
And that concludes. Anyone else have anything to say, actually, before we close out?
I just thought it was really good.
Shout out to the actor who played Henry, born and raised in Toronto. He's a
really?
local. Yeah.
Lamar Johnson was his name.
You see him dance? The video of him dancing?
Yeah, Lynn told me about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
What an answer.
the actor who played as Sam, who was actually deaf, which I thought was really neat.
Yes.
Little detail after the
Yeah.
episode, they did the little behind the scenes thing. So
I mean, good for them for giving this kid a chance, right? Like his break. This is
God.
his break, and he killed it. He
He
absolutely
was
killed it.
great. Oh
Also,
my
shout out to the
God.
cinematography. There's an awesome shot where Henry peeks out, and you can see the reflection of the store banner, and it kind of paints the orange stripe, the orange mask across his face as he's looking out for Fedra. And that's like right after he paints the Super Saiyan, does the whole Super Saiyan thing. I thought that was very, again, a small moment, but when you have talent behind the camera, these are the things that you get. It's not just about who's in front of the camera. When you have talented people behind the camera, you get these nice little moments that aren't even verbal or anything. But I thought that was a very beautiful touch.
What
Can
if the
I-
show was like, oh yeah.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. Mine's
What
like
if
a
it was-
closing thought.
What if it was like 12 episodes, and we got like the whole ish story,
Mm.
Oh my god.
I would have loved that. See, when they were going back and they started doing all these flashbacks with like the scientists and all that stuff, that would have been awesome, man.
Mm.
That would have been great. I think they could have done it in 11, honestly. Like, I don't know.
Mayhaps.
It's very strange that they're not doing the full 10. I still think that's very strange, very weird, but
Yeah.
HBO almost religiously does 10 episodes. Doesn't matter what the show is. Everything's 10 episodes. So very strange that it's only 9, but it could be also because of the budget. This is one of the biggest launch budgets that they've had for a show.
It's paying off for them, man.
It is,
The
but they didn't know
yeah.
that. They didn't know
True.
that, to be fair. So maybe that's the reason.
Did we get numbers this week? Like if the viewers increased again, or was it?
I
did it go
didn't
down
see- I
and-
didn't
Also-
look up any up, bro. I'm sorry.
No,
And
it's
again,
okay.
not to pull it down and bring it back to Halo, but this is my complaints with the Halo show is that I didn't even realize this. That cul-de-sac, they built that entire cul-de-sac because they wanted to actually be able to do the practical effects of the truck sinking into the ground.
Mhm.
And they're like, we can't pull this off with like city bylaws, so they literally just built a cul-de-sac. I'm like,
we
this
can't
is
destroy an
this
actual street.
yeah. I guess these people wouldn't let us film here if we ransacked their homes and
Which-
covered it in moss.
that
But this
is-
is the HBO touch that it's like, wow, this is fucking insane.
Which that is a fair criticism, Gage. However, I would push back a tiny bit on that to say, like, it's also a lot more difficult to build a fucking Covenant high charity city, like,
No, I'm talking more about, like, I was using that in a general term of practical effects.
I
I
gotcha,
understand.
yes.
And I actually, you and I agree. One of the few things we agree on in the Halo show is that the props department absolutely did the best with what they could, and they killed it in a lot of places. But in terms of, like, again, the 80-pound suit, like, you're right. In Halo, there is a lot of things that are CGI. So the things that aren't CGI should look fucking spectacular.
yeah.
And it's just that HBO touch that you get when you're on that network. And my God, man, the bloater. It only had 38 seconds of screen time. Did it feel like that for you guys? I felt totally satisfied with what I saw from the bloater. They made that thing terrifying, building up to it. So the fact that it only had 38 seconds of screen time, I didn't even realize that afterwards. People were complaining about it. I was like, "What are you talking about? That was awesome."
Rip the head
Yeah.
off. Oh, that was insane.
Oh my God.
Ro, I'm not seeing anything in terms of viewership, although I'd imagine shifting the show over to Friday night may have impacted it in some regard. However, it is the highest rated episode of the series so far with a 9.6 rating on IMDb. So
That's
take that for whatever.
That's huge. 9.6 on IMDb. That's getting up there. I think that's what Breaking Bad has that makes it the highest rated show. Now that's the entire show, not just an episode, but
Sure. And that's different. All right. What you got for me, Dan?
I've got my first game of the year contender for this year, guys. I'm continuing my run of completing games. This is the year of completing games among all the other year of things we're doing. But it is Hi-Fi Rush. That game, absolutely love that game. I know, Ro, you really loved it as well. Very stoked that we can share in that love together because, every minute of this game I absolutely loved, like the combat, everything. Like, it's very forgiving. It doesn't punish you for sucking. Like, my timing was always terrible. I talked about it last week, but I still loved the heck out of it. The story, the characters, the art style, everything together just felt really good. All the boss battles felt really unique and different. And like, Ro, I know you talked about your favorite boss battle being Mimosa, right? Yeah. Like, that's so
good.
that's so good as well. Yes. And like the final the second to last boss battle I thought was insane. I was like, that's so cool as well.
That was the bank wolf.
Yes.
Werewolf one?
Yes.
Yeah,
I love
that.
that. Yes. Oh, but yes, I really love this game, and I'm very happy that Tango was able to do this. And like you said before, Christian, that you weren't sure that Game Pass caused this game to be created, but I kind of feel like it was, because like, man, Shinji Mikami is not someone that's known for like this kind of game. He's horror only, pretty much exclusively. So like, I'm not sure that this game would have been created because
he didn't direct.
No, he did not. You're correct. But like, the question is if they weren't a part of Microsoft and, you know, had the flexibility of Game Pass and giving their studios more leeway to do these things, would Shinji Mikami be okay saying, all right, you guys take this huge risk making this, you know, weirdly different game that we've never done before? Like, I don't know if he would have approved that.
I agree with you, Dan.
So like, yeah, I just love that it happened.
When did they buy Bethesda? Like, that game must have been in pre-production before they bought Bethesda.
It's unclear. They bought Bethesda in 2019, I believe.
But not before Game Pass, though.
2021.
Bethesda?
Yeah.
Is that right? Oh. Why was I thinking 2019?
Because COVID has shifted our perception of time.
Apparently.
Yeah.
It really,
Dude,
I would have guessed.
Insane.
It was
on a whim. I would have
okay.
guessed 2019 over 2021, but no, it was 2021.
So 2021, 2 years ago. So it may have already been like floating around. I don't know how long this game took to make.
Oh, I'm sorry. You can't make a game in 2 years like this.
You don't think so?
You probably could. You
Unless
probably
you use
could.
AIR. Am I right, Ro?
It's not that long of a game. So like, I don't know.
I would say the animation.
It's not
in the style
Skyrim.
alone.
The animation is like, that takes a lot of work doing that.
It's fair.
But
That's fair.
it is possible, Dan. I agree. But I feel like the amount of effort that went into this, I feel like it might have taken a bit longer. But I don't disagree with your point, though. It's just I'm not sure if this was the game that proves your point, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
And maybe it's like a Double Fine situation, because Double Fine, before they were acquired by Microsoft, they were often known for doing experimental type things. They literally had game jam days for their devs where they would be like, hey, you guys go create whatever you want for this weekend, and we're going to split up into multiple teams, and whoever comes up with the cool idea, we might, you know, make this game. So like, yeah, we don't know. I'm sure it was in pre-production or production before that, but yeah, I don't know. I'm just glad it happened, and I'm very, very happy for Tango, and yeah, I'm excited for their next project because I've loved everything. Well, minus Ghostwire. Ghostwire is not really my jam, but you know.
Yeah, skip that.
Yeah.
Who's up next?
I could go next.
I'm just going down the list, as always.
Okay. And Tales of Arise, I rolled credits on Tales of Arise finally. I won't have to talk about it ever again, but this is the last time, I guess. Or maybe not, because I kind of feel like I'm going to go back to that game and get as many trophies as I can, because I really, really like this game. I immediately added it to my favorite games of all time once I rolled credits. The story isn't anything groundbreaking or anything, but it's really about the cast of characters that you spend 70 hours with, and you just grow to learn more about them. The arcs there's 6 people on your party, and each character has enough time, and you would assume they would if you have 70 hours to use. But they really use that time really well, and they have arcs for each of the characters, all satisfying conclusions. And yeah, that's kind of really the real reason that I love this game so much, is because all the characters are so well written, and I really got attached to them. And JRPGs usually have this effect on me where when I'm reached the end of them, I feel like I'm leaving a group of friends behind, and I get really bittersweet about it. Persona had the same effect on me. Every time I finish one of those games, like, oh man, I'm gonna miss these guys. And I'm definitely getting that feeling from Tales of Arise as well. So I'm going to spend as much time with them as I can, trying to get that platinum. But yeah, it's a fantastic game.
Hell yes.
Is it
Okay,
my
that's it?
turn?
Oh, sorry. I think I had more.
Yeah, that's all I got. Yeah, I already
It's
talked
me.
so
It's
much
me
about
next.
it. Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
I've still been squabbling. You know this. I got to get my Victory Royales. I bought a dance because I had some free money on there still. So I bought the Naruto run. I'm sorry.
Nice.
But I also went in and absolutely, dude, you shadow drop Metroid Prime Remastered, one of the best games ever made. You know for damn sure I'm picking it up for $40. Absolutely, easiest yes I've ever done. So yeah, I've been ending my nights just playing Metroid Prime, and it's still again one of the best games ever made. When did this game come out? Almost 20 years ago, something like that. That may or may not be true. But I was very young when this game came out in GameCube, when the GameCube. So it must have been 2001, 2, 3, one of those. It's been a minute. It's been like about. There you have it. 21 years ago. I'm past where I made it as a kid, because as a kid, Metroid was very hard for me. But like I knew back then it was something special. I was not able to appreciate Metroid Prime until like this moment as an adult. Like this is a sublime freaking experience, and I could gush about it. I won't. But I think everyone should. If you're a Nintendo fan, like Metroid is. I was thinking about this yesterday. Metroid may be like the best Nintendo franchise, and it may be up there as like over Mario for me.
Damn.
Over Zelda is a different discussion. I'd have to really sit down and think about it. But like it is that good, and I cannot wait for Prime 4 because the Metroid series is just like so special every time it hits. Dread was fantastic. Prime is good. You're getting so many of the like GBA games ported. Oh my god, we're eating us Metroid fans.
Metroid Fusion.
And I wouldn't even consider myself a hardcore Metroid. Yeah, Fusion. Oh my god, dude. Anyway.
Hell yeah.
I'm done.
Gage.
Is it my turn? I've played nothing. I've played nothing. That's not true. I jumped into Steam Next Fest and tried to play a bunch of indies. And I think I played 6 or 7 demos of some really cool games. Shout out to a game that I hope is a working title, but if not, it's all right. It's called Infection Free Zone. And it is an RTS zombie apocalypse city builder, and the gimmick is that it uses, similar to Microsoft Flight Sim, it uses Google image data, so you can of create a safe zone in a real-world location. They only had a select few for the demo, but pretty much what they did is they generated like a set number of building types, and then they try to accurately recreate the Google image data, so you could theoretically, I mean, any 4 of us, if we wanted to get into the game, could create a little colony in your actual sort of neighborhood. And aside from that, it was a pretty basic RTS, base building, and you're building fences, and you're sending troops out to collect resources and scavenge through buildings, and that was pretty fun. So I want to give a shout out to that one. I tried Operation Harsh Doorstep, which is a FPS that's been getting a lot of buzz. That was good. And then the main thing that I'm going to talk about is a game that's getting a huge amount of buzz right now called Dark and Darker, which is it's pretty much doing Skyrim dungeons, except it's also Tarkov. And it's awesome. It is a really fun roguelite. It's extremely punishing and slow paced, but when you get a squad together and you've got like a paladin casting heals, and you've got your archer throwing arrows, and then you got your knight up front, it is awesome. It is a great game. I can totally see why it's getting all the hype that it's getting. And this is now kind of jumps to the front of my radar when it comes to roguelites and or Tarkov-like experiences, extraction shooters, if you will, even though it's medieval. Yeah, really good stuff.
People are like people that I know are like ranting about it, so it's got me a little bit excited to check it out.
Absolutely. The next time they do a limited test demo, you should definitely, it's free to sign up. Actually, last time I didn't even have to sign up. You just go to Steam and download it and you're good. But Yeah, awesome game. Really, really great if you're into that sort of thing.
It looks like the demo's still available for it, or they have a different one maybe.
It is. It was supposed to end on Monday. They extended it until tomorrow. So sometime tomorrow,
gotcha.
the demo is closing
It's
down.
gone. Got it.
All right. Sorry, some Japan stuff is coming up.
Also, shout out to Sons of the Forest, which I don't know if it still is. Was briefly Steam's #1 most wishlisted game,
Damn.
surpassing Starfield.
Oh yeah.
Damn.
That game's gonna be pretty good, right? Right, Gage?
It's gonna be huge.
In your
Will it?
It's
fantasy.
gonna be huge.
Nice, dude. Nice.
I'm predicting 90. I'm predicting 90. I want to say it right now. 90 or above.
I can hear
Sounds
Gage
like a
playing his little
good-
video game in the background.
I'm not playing video games.
You
I'm
sure
not
about
a
that?
gamer. I'm not a.
None of us are. We shouldn't be. Just kidding. Topic of the show. We're gonna have some fun. A little bit of a disorganized conversation, but I think that's gonna be the fun of it. What games need a remaster? This spawned to me today. The inception of it, as I was thinking about Metroid Prime, I realized shadow dropping games like this, and us like craving more. Us Nintendo and Metroid fans, wanting more shadow drops from Nintendo. Being like, yes, you know what? Maybe I do want more remasters because Nintendo has a catalog of amazing games they just sit on, dude. And dropping it for $40, they could be making so much money. We don't have sales number yet. The game just launched, last week, right? And then the physical release doesn't happen until next week, so we won't get, I think, NPDs for that until March. However, it is like charting on Amazon over AAA releases that have released this month. So it's doing pretty well, and I'd imagine it will continue to be doing well. So I pose this question: which games need a remaster? Of course, I thought of some, and if you look at the thumbnail, I actually even brought a couple of them there. I put Bloodborne in there, put Kirby Air Ride, Zelda Twilight Princess, and Red Dead Redemption 1. Just tossing some out the dartboard to begin our conversation. Is there any that you guys would like to start with first?
Yes.
Tell me.
Red Dead Redemption. Shan already knows.
I know. Yeah.
Are we talking? Is this conversation specifically remaster, or are we also talking remake?
I mean, there's
up to
room
viewer
to discuss remakes, but those are a bit different. That requires going in from the ground up and
in
doing
that
something.
case, in that case, I do not want a Red Dead 1 remaster. I want it in the Red Dead 2 engine, which is kind of the thing because half of the map is already made. People were really hoping that they were doing that, and yeah. So if we're talking remasters, then I do not want Red Dead 1 remastered. I want a remake. I want a full remake.
I guess that's a greater question. Like, is there games that we would having a remaster over a remake?
That's a good, yeah.
Yeah, I think. Sorry, keep going. No,
Gage?
Mom?
keep going.
Mom? I think I was gonna dunk on Christian, but I didn't want to.
Oh,
Look at him. I don't want to do that.
I don't know. Like, there's something to be said for like original tone and like feeling for games. Like,
That's
there
fair.
are small changes to Metroid Prime Remaster. I think work better now than before. But like, I'll just continue talking about it. Like, there are like aesthetic choices in this remaster that like really punch in on like what the original GameCube was going for and probably just like couldn't handle. Like, one of the things original Metroid Prime does really well is like when you shoot something near that's near to Samus, the visor will reflect her face and she'll be like moving or looking or blinking, and like you get to see like the protagonist from inside the own visor, and everything is like diegetic, so like everything is moving like as if you were inside this helmet. And what the remaster does is like punctuate that even further, so the environment reflects on the top of the visor, so as you're shooting your beam, you're seeing the light on the top of it like reflect, or if you're charging, it's even like it's just glowing. And these kind of small things really work. Granted, that's maybe more for what Gage is saying about remake, but for remaster, yeah, I don't know. Like, there's something to be said, like games as they were then, with some small polish and ported over, is like, I think is great for for game preservation and feeling like you're able to access something that was from some time ago and not remade entirely.
Yeah, I think Wind Waker is a great example for that too.
Sure.
When they did the HD thing, I don't know if I would want them to really change much about that game besides make it more accessible and make it look prettier and do a few quality of life changes, which is what they did, and I think that was a great call for that. A game that I do want to be remastered, because I have a list here, but I was, when you brought up the remake versus remaster thing, I was like, maybe some of these games I'd rather be remade than just remastered. But one of the games that I would want to be remastered is Sonic Advance for the Game Boy Advance.
Sure.
I see, like, don't make that a 3D game. Don't like change the graphics of that. Just like make the sprites look pretty. Maybe do it in the Sonic Mania style, if anything. But just like keep that game how it is, but bring it to more consoles, make it prettier. I could see that being really, really cool if they did that. Which I don't see them ever doing ever. No. Maybe they'll bring those games back on the Nintendo Online thing. Maybe Sega will make a collection, but I could never see them doing like what they did for Sonic 1, 2, and 3 with the Origins collection recently. That would be awesome though. Oh my god.
Yeah, I think if
yeah. I think any of the Metal Gear Solid games would be worse if they were done as a remake and not a remaster.
Ooh,
interesting.
Huh. Probably right. Final Fantasy VII was a great remake.
And
could Kojima
Fair point.
pull it off? I don't know.
Fair point.
I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so many fans that of those franchises that would probably be more up in arms about changing like gameplay mechanics in a remake for especially like Metal Gear, like you were saying. So like they would probably be more akin to getting the classic gameplay with just better visuals and stuff. And one thing that popped into my mind, and this might be controversial, I don't know if it will be, but Mario 64, like one of the best games on N64, like give that thing a visual overhaul, and that game I feel like would play pretty well.
We got the DS.
Yeah, but
I was going to say the DS.
Oh, you're right. I forgot about that.
I mean, there's the DS one, and we even got the collection too with 3D All Stars thing.
True, but was that remastered though, or was that?
It looked nicer, but I don't think they did that much. Yeah, you're right.
Modern controls, you can move that stick around, baby.
It's fair.
Yes. But there is the DS one, like Christian said, and they did do a lot of stuff with that one.
I do think a genre that lends itself really well to specifically remasters and not remakes is racing genre. And if I were to say the game that I think the most needs a remaster, and I'm going to keep it within the Rockstar, is you know what I'm saying, Midnight Club Los Angeles.
Oh baby,
one of the greatest racers of all time. I actually went through a kick just last year where I was like playing it again almost as if I'm playing it for the first time. Like I was actually getting really into it, and like, I can't wait till I get home from work so I can try and beat a couple more missions in Midnight Club LA, a game that came out over a decade ago. But I think a game like that would be great. We're slowly losing the arcade, like the heavy arcade racer. And those are fun games, especially nowadays with so much connectivity and all the online stuff. Like, I want a really fun game that just feels fun and wacky to play, but with just the right amount of sort of customization and fidelity. And I think I can't gush enough about Midnight Club LA. And then if we're talking a game that doesn't need a remaster now, but maybe in 3-4 years, I would love one, just a remaster. Don't leave it alone. Dishonored, the first one. Excellent gameplay. That game feels buttery smooth for a stealth gameplay, and because of the art style, that classic arcane art style, you could just leave that well enough alone.
Are there any like PS3, Xbox 360 era games that you think might be worthy of getting a remaster pretty soon?
Dan? Dan?
Oh, what is he gonna say?
Halo 3!
I thought of a really
Yeah, give Blur the make him do the cutscenes.
Oh.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh my god.
Trust me, I would absolutely love Halo 3 remaster.
Dan's like, trust me, I will commit a
Absolutely.
felony to get
Yes,
this.
yes, because Halo 3's gameplay holds up very well nowadays. So yes, I'm 100% on board with that. However, I thought of something else. I thought of an N64 game, but then you just said Xbox 360.
Conquer.
So now I'm gonna come, Christian. You just made me think of
You
another.
always say you. Oh
No,
oh,
you
sorry.
just made me. No, that's another great one. I would love Conquer. Yes,
Conquer would be great. Yeah.
Conquer Live and Reloaded on Xbox was the multiplayer was so underrated.
Unbelievable.
The Live and Reloaded was actually the same exact campaign as Bad Fur Day.
Yeah.
It just had multiplayer with it as well, which was so
Again,
underrated.
So did Bad Fur Day. You always forget this.
It did. Oh, I'm sorry. Online multiplayer.
Yes.
Multiplayer. Yes. Sorry. But yes,
That's incredible.
I loved it. It was so good. But anyways, back to my original thing that popped into my head. Banjo-Kazooie on
I knew
N64.
it. I knew it.
I fucking would love that. That would be fantastic. And in my opinion, Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts on Xbox 360, far underrated. I loved building freaking vehicles in that game.
Yes.
So much fun. And it
Yes.
still had the heart of Banjo-Kazooie. So like I would love remasters of both of those. Oh,
Nuts and bolts was awesome, dude.
yeah.
I'll show you my nuts and bolts.
I have a quick fun story for nuts and bolts. I went to okay. I went to Blockbuster
Oh god.
and
that?
I went to rent a video game and I picked this awful 360 game called like Raven Strike. It was like some hybrid. It was like this was back when like C tier games existed. It was like a hybrid first person shooter and then it'd zoom out to RTS on the click of a button. It was I don't know what the game's called. Raven Strike or something like that. Type in FPS RTS game.
I found Raven Strike.
Is that what it's called? And it's like a dude in the jungle. It looks like a Ghost Recon guy, kind of.
This looks sci-fi. Oh wait, no, Raven Squad. I think is what you're.
Raven Squad. That's what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, I think. So I take this game home,
Oh.
and I don't know how old I am. I must be like either late elementary school or early high school. No, probably late elementary school. And I'm playing it, and I'm like, this is the worst game I've ever played by a lot. So I beg my parents to take me back to Blockbuster to exchange it. So we do, and we awkwardly exchange it, and the girl's like, "What's the reason?" And my mom's like, "It's bad. It's really bad." And she's like, "Oh, okay, we don't normally do that. But that's fine." So what do I pick instead? I pick this fun-looking game called Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts,
Hell yeah.
and I bring it back home. And I get into it and I'm building my thing and I'm like, wait a minute, I didn't know this was possible. Like this is the first physics-based game I'm playing. I'm spending all this time building it and then the game is scratched to shit and it keeps freezing.
Oh no.
Oh.
So Daniel, the first hook of Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts, I was pleading with my mother to take me back to Blockbuster for a second time so I could get another copy, the one that worked. When I got about 30 minutes of Banjo-Kazooie in, and I was hooked from then on, and I was craving it. She did not take me back to Blockbuster. She said that was ridiculous.
What?
So I did
What
not get the. I had to wait until like years later till I was looking at a sale on Xbox One
Years.
for backwards compatibility, and I was like, oh yeah, Banjo-Kazooie, and I picked it up, and I was like, yeah, this is fucking awesome.
You just threw away money.
I saw the light. And then you need to understand, as a small child whose priorities is only video games, to be able to play that game for 40 minutes and not realizing that building vehicles in a game brick by brick was even possible, to then have the game shit the bed and me not be able to play it ever, I was heartbroken.
Glenn
That sucks. I just thought of one too, but Glenn has one.
Glenn has one. He says Star Fox.
Oh, sure.
That's
yeah.
Any of them.
Flying games, racing games, these are great because even if they feel old and arcadey, you just update the controls and it still has that feel.
Are you ready for this then?
Yeah.
The Simpsons Hit and Run.
Oh yes.
Yes.
As a remaster, get out of here,
Yes,
dude.
let's go.
Come on.
Increíble.
Which somebody was making that, right? Or maybe they were.
I think there was a fan project going,
Yeah.
trying to get that.
I love fan projects.
I'm your only fan.
Bring Double Dash back while we're at it too. Another racing game.
Double Dash can stay where it is. It's fine.
All right. Well, is that where we're ending it? Unless we have any others. Here we go. PlayStation All Stars Battle Royale. Bring that back
Oh,
in any
Are
capacity.
you just reading things off of a list?
I'm on backlogged. I'm going through my games.
Oh, okay, that's fair.
You know what I
Ghost
mean?
Recon. Give me a Ghost Recon. Ghost Recon Advanced Warfighter remastered.
I'm gonna keep
just-
it real. Just oh yeah,
I just want a Ghost Recon game again.
like a good one. You mean?
Like a Ghost Recon game at all. I'll take a bad one, but I just need one that's Ghost Recon and not GTA.
Sure. I think any first-party GameCube game is worth remastering. That GameCube library is pretty elite. Pretty
I'll take it
freaking
one
elite.
I'll take it one step further. The mid 2000, jumping off
Sure.
of my Ghost
Yeah.
Recon, mid 2000s Ubisoft. Any game from the mid 2000s, that's when they were on their hot streak.
Yep.
You got
Sure.
you got the first Assassin's Creed. You got Splinter Cell Double Agent.
Well,
you got
now wait a minute, because the first Assassin's Creed, I'd much rather have a remake than remaster, because I feel like
and this is where the waters get muddy, because a
That's true.
remaster is like, do they just clean up the animations and make it? Yes, because obviously if it's as clunky, we kept the feel exactly the same, so you could throw your controllers at the wall again. Like, no, obviously I don't want that. Yeah. So I guess that's true. That's where it gets. But things that are slower paced, like Splinter Cell Double Agent, I think
yes.
a remaster is
Oh,
totally possible of that.
yes.
That game, when it came to stealth, man, that was the Splinter Cell game.
Well, and there was two different versions of that game. The original Xbox version and the 360 version. They were two completely different games, which people don't realize. Insane.
I have one more for me and Ro. Just for us two.
Well,
Ultimate Spider-Man.
why
Oh my
do you
God.
get to enjoy
Yes.
that? Who are
No.
you to try and gatekeep us from Ultimate
Take that away
Spider-Man?
from
Did you guys also
Like-
play Ultimate Spider-Man?
Like
I'm sorry,
any kid who was born in the 90s didn't play fucking Spider-Man.
Dude, it was
I had
so
to
good.
I had to play that at my friend's house because I didn't have. That was the PlayStation one, right? Or my
I mean, it was multi-platform. It was
okay.
third
Well,
party.
That's where I played it, I think. But yeah, I love that game. That was great. I
Mhm.
mean, we have Insomniac now, but I
Yeah.
don't know. That would be great. I would love that.
Sonic Adventure 2, then.
I'm just gonna insult
Yes.
you guys.
Never get that, but yes.
Insult me then.
I'm gonna insult you guys by saying that reminded me of Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions. Very
I
underrated.
enjoyed that.
Also a good
Also
one.
I enjoyed it. Yeah.
That was fun.
Great game.
I want any of the old Pokemon games to be remastered.
Yeah.
Instead of remade is what they've been doing, where they're making it 3D.
Yes.
And Pokemon Black is probably next on the cutting board, which is my favorite Pokemon game. And I'm very worried. I'm very scared, but I'm also very excited. But I would just love them to just make the pixel art look nice. And that's it. Don't have to do anything else.
Give me
But,
Pokemon Sapphire.
Yes. Just make it pretty. Just make it even more pretty. Make it look like Octopath Traveler, and I'm good. I say like
Two
that.
more.
That's like easy, but
Sure. Yeah. Two
Are we
more I
allowed
have.
are we allowed to participate in these ones or no?
Yeah, sure. I mean, have you played any Paper Mario game?
Yeah, I have. Paper Mario.
Which- Yeah?
Sticker.
Or are
sticker
you just
shock?
yanking my chain?
I'm not. I played Paper. Is that one of the Mario games? Is it called Paper Mario?
Okay, well.
Is it
you
called
haven't-
Paper Mario?
You haven't played it then. Bring Paper Mario back as a remaster. Anyone. Thousand Year Door would be great too. And Sonic Riders.
Sonic
Hmm.
Riders needs to come back.
Mm,
The
in
second
any
Wii-
capacity.
The Wii U, or I think it was the Wii, not the Wii U. The sequel did not hit, and I need that back in my life.
Am I
Mhm.
wait? Was Sonic Riders the one where you use like the Wii balance board, or am I not
No.
remembering correctly? Okay.
Sonic Riders was a GameCube one, but then they did make
Oh.
a sequel though, Dan. So maybe that's the one that did the.
Okay.
I think it was like free rush or something weird like that.
I'd like a remaster of specifically the Wii port of Black Ops 1.
Oh God. No.
God. Did I tell you my friend had the Wii copy of World at War? He had like his little nunchuck and Wiimote, and then you get in the tank, you know, like take it apart and like pilot it like a car. Insane. Okay, well I guess that's it then.
I was doing research on Sonic Riders
God.
called Zero
True
Gravity,
speed.
Dan. Apparently,
Oh, okay.
Sonic Riders Zero Gravity.
Okay.
There you have it, folks. Video game remasters. There's a lot of them that we need.
Horizon
We
Zero
need
Dawn.
money.
Please hurry up. It's taking them so long.
Just stop. Just stop, dude. God help us if it's a remake or they charge like $70 for that. God help us indeed. That does it for this week's PXN. Thank you again to everyone joining us live on YouTube and Twitch, as well as podcast services everywhere, including Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and everywhere else you get your pods. I will not be here for the next 2 weeks, but until then, thank you, Ro. Thank you, me. Thank you, Gage. And thank you, Daniel. This has been Podcast PXN, and we are out.
Much love and keep on gaming.
Stay warm for me.
Stop gaming. Stop gaming right now.
Stop the MCU.
Stop it.
Ant-Man.